The Welsh hermit threw holy water in every direction. In an instant, the glittering palace vanished. The fairy king disappeared. Coughlin stood alone on the windswept hill, but what had he actually destroyed? What if an entire mountain was nothing more than a doorway to another world? I'm your host, and today we're standing at the base of Glastonbury Tor, asking a question that has haunted this place for over 2,000 years. Is this hill hollow? And if so, what lives inside? The answers involve headless horsemen, underground kingdoms, and one very angry pig. It is very helpful if you hit the like, subscribe and share. Help build my channel, and let's take a look together into these uncovered forgotten tales. In 1906, workers began cutting down the sacred oak grove at Glastonbury. These weren't ordinary trees. One measured 11 feet across. Its rings told a story spanning 2 millennia. These oaks had witnessed everything: Druid processions, Roman legions, the birth of Christianity in Britain. The Druids walked in ceremony beneath these branches, processing from the grove at Stonedown toward the towering presence of the Tor itself. An entire avenue of oaks created a living pathway to the sacred hill. Nearly all were destroyed, but 2 survivors remain at Stonedown's base, ancient witnesses to what this place once was. This was Ynys Wyttron, the Isle of Glass, and it was the beating heart of Druidic Britain. 2,000 years ago, before Rome, before Christ, the Druids controlled both the religious and political life of these islands. Glastonbury wasn't just another sacred site. Evidence suggests it was the center, the axis around which their entire worldview revolved. And that worldview was obsessed with one question: where do we go when we die? The Druids taught that death was not an ending but a passage. The soul continued, but where it went depended on which Druidic school you followed. Some believed the dead sailed to magical islands scattered across the western seas, places where the veil between worlds grew thin, where immortals dwelled in eternal feast. Others taught something darker, that souls descended through sacred hills into the land of shades, the realm the Greeks called Hades. Britain was dotted with these gateway hills, each one a door swinging both ways between the living world and whatever lay beneath. Glastonbury Tor was likely the most important of these gateways. Perhaps the original, the door that all others echoed. But the Tor wasn't just an entrance. According to the old stories, it was inhabited. His name was Gwyn ap Nudd, king of the fairies, lord of Annwn, the Welsh underworld. And he lived inside Glastonbury Tor in an invisible palace, a fortress of glass that guarded the gate between worlds. On storm-heavy nights, Gwyn rode out with his wild hunt, a band of supernatural horsemen, possibly headless, thundering across the clouds themselves. Some have tried to connect these riders to angelic warriors appearing at the Battle of Mons or other moments of crisis, but the connection remains spectral at best. There was another claimant to the Tor's throne, a Valak, sometimes called a Valak, a demigod who also claimed dominion over the underworld. Whether a Valak and Gwyn were the same being under different names, or rival powers sharing the same haunted real estate, the legends never quite clarify. What they do agree on is this: something lived in that hill. But here's what they didn't know. The Isle of Glass wasn't named for any magical fortress. The most likely explanation is far simpler. The name came from the way sunlight shimmered across the marshes that once surrounded the Tor, creating an illusion of glass like water stretching in every direction. Yet that ethereal name, that ghost word, glass, became entangled with every legend that followed, giving him a crystalline, otherworldly quality that still haunts the place today. To this day, a significant number of people believe Glastonbury Tor is hollow. They claim underground passages riddle the hill like veins, creating a labyrinth beneath the surface where Gwyn and his huntsmen retreat after their midnight rides. Others insist the entire interior is a single vast chamber, a cathedral of stone housing the invisible palace. Skeptics offer a more mundane explanation. Glastonbury Tor was simply a prehistoric burial mound, a tomb for forgotten chiefs, nothing more supernatural than bones and earth. The problem? Nobody knows for certain. The Tor has never been properly excavated by archaeologists. The interior remains a mystery, which means every theory, magical fortress, fairy kingdom, ancient cemetery, exists in equal uncertainty. The hill keeps its secrets. But there's one story that brings all these elements together: an invisible palace, a fairy king, and the power to pierce the veil between worlds. It's the story of what happened when a Christian saint climbed to the summit and challenged the lord of the underworld face to face. His name was Coughlin, a Welsh hermit living in the Dark Ages when Christianity and the old pagan beliefs still wrestled for Britain's soul. One day, Coughlin received a summons. He was commanded to appear before King Gwyn ap Nudd at the top of Glastonbury Tor. Coughlin was deeply reluctant. He knew the stories. He knew what Gwyn was. But a summons from the king of the underworld wasn't something you ignored. So Coughlin prepared. He gathered a quantity of holy water and began the climb. What happened next is one of the strangest encounters in British folklore: a collision between the fading pagan world and the rising Christian order, played out on top of a hill that might be a tomb, might be a doorway, might be both. As Coughlin reached the summit, exhausted from the climb, he suddenly found himself standing before something impossible. A beautiful castle materialized around him, gleaming, magnificent, more real than the rocks beneath his feet. Inside, courtiers moved in glittering robes. And seated on a throne was Gwyn ap Nudd himself, the fairy king, lord of Annwn, master of the wild hunt. The palace shouldn't have been there. The summit of the Tor was empty, windswept, nothing but grass and stone. Yet here it stood, as solid as any fortress in Christendom. Gwyn welcomed the hermit. They spoke. The legend doesn't record their exact words, but we can imagine the conversation: two powers negotiating, the old world and the new, each trying to claim dominion over this sacred ground. And then Coughlin made his move. Without warning, the hermit threw his holy water in every direction: north, south, east, west, saturating the air with blessed droplets. The effect was instantaneous. Gwyn vanished. His courtiers dissolved like morning mist. The beautiful castle collapsed into nothingness. Coughlin stood alone on the empty summit, breathing hard, surrounded only by wind and silence. Victory, perhaps. The Christian saint had banished the pagan king, cast out the old god, reclaimed the sacred hill for the new faith. But here's the twist: what if Coughlin hadn't destroyed anything at all? Think about it. The palace was invisible to begin with. Gwyn's fortress existed in some in-between space, neither fully in our world nor fully in the next. By making it disappear, had Coughlin actually changed anything, or had he simply closed his own eyes to what was already there? The legends say Gwyn retreated into the Tor with his huntsmen. Not destroyed, not defeated, just withdrawn. Back through the door, back into the hollow hill, back to the invisible palace that was always there and might be there still. Scholars view the Coughlin story as folk memory of an actual exorcism attempt, a Christian effort to cleanse the Tor of pagan associations. And in one sense, it worked. Glastonbury became one of the holiest Christian sites in Britain, home to an abbey that would stand for centuries. But the older story never quite died. Even now, people come to Glastonbury Tor convinced it's hollow, convinced something dwells inside, convinced the hill itself is alive with power that predates Christianity, predates Rome, predates everything we think we know about these islands. The two ancient oaks still stand at Stonedown's base, living connections to the Druid processions, the sacred groves, the time when this was Ynys Wyttron and the Tor was simply understood as a door between worlds. And here's what makes the story stranger. When the author of our source material visited those ancient oaks, he was aggressively chased away by a large, hostile pig. Which brings us full circle to the legend of how Glastonbury got its name. A northern Celt named Glysteir, who pursued his escaped prize pig all the way from the Midlands to Ynys Wyttron, found the land fertile, and settled there. That legendary pig was apparently docile and excellent. The modern pig, definitely no relation, according to our witness. But it makes you wonder, what else guards those oaks? What else still patrols the boundaries of the old sacred ground? So we return to our opening question: is Glastonbury Tor hollow? We don't know. The archaeologists have never looked. The hill has never been excavated. The interior remains as mysterious now as it was when Druids walked in procession through the oak groves 2,000 years ago. Maybe it's hollow. Maybe it's solid stone. Maybe Gwyn ap Nudd still sits in his invisible palace, waiting for the next brave soul to climb to the summit and demand an audience. Or maybe, just maybe, the real door was never physical at all. Maybe Glastonbury Tor is hollow in the only way that matters, hollow with possibility, with mystery, with the space where we place our questions about what lies beyond this world. The Tor stands, the old oaks remain, and the door, invisible or not, stays open. Thanks for joining us for part 1 of our series. Until next time, keep asking questions, because some doors are meant to stay open. If you would like further context and the rest of the story, check out previous videos and future videos. If you would like more information where to research this subject, pause this image and look into these resources or find resources in description. If you have book sources or links of your own on this subject, please share in comments or email me. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.